I'm still out of frame. That's a little too much in frame.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Random Fandom. I'm your host, Ravenwood, and
I'm your other host, the Indominant Rex. And we
We're-
started a little late because someone was a bit impatient.
impatient is the term.
Yes, impatient.
Me being
I was-
impatient.
Yes, because you could not wait for me to finish one little thing.
Little thing.
I was trying to finish one little thing, and this guy couldn't be bothered to wait like 30 minutes.
35 minutes.
30 to 35 minutes,
no.
okay?
We had initially started, or at least tried to start at 11:20. Just saying. That's
Correct.
a little thing
You
when I
tried
taken
to.
a little.
This is the problem when you try to control another person's schedule.
No, it's not
hung up.
controlling another person's schedule. It's getting us both on track on the same page.
Well,
on
you
the
have
same schedule.
to talk. You can't just say, "Hey, we're doing this now. Come on." You can't just do that. That's just rude. I agree with that part. Okay.
Yeah.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be catching up with the OG Spider-Man trilogy, picking up where we left off with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. Well, I know Tobey Maguire isn't the one who directed the film, but Tobey Maguire is the one who played as Spider-Man in the Tobey Maguire trilogy. So, yeah, you're there. But basically,
you saw what I did there, though, right?
It works with your phone, maybe, but it doesn't with mine. I can't just turn it off and then pick up right back up. Whenever I turn it off, it somehow closes out the entire app. Okay, it does that.
All right.
Not every phone picks up
Yours
immediately.
is practically the same phone as mine.
iPhone 11, but for some reason, whenever I turn off the thing in the middle of an app that's playing, it closes the app as well. So I have to resume. It didn't do that for me last time, okay? It's done it every other time, but not last time. So I had to restart the segment, okay? I'm trying. That's what I've been trying to explain to you, but you will not comprehend what I have been trying to tell you.
But there's also, you go to a thing in the same app where...
Are you talking about the queue?
No. I'm talking about
the queue.
What's the
literally
queue?
the story records.
Yeah, you can easily go back to the story record. To just
buddy,
from there.
Buddy, Raven, hand on shoulder. I did. It didn't pick up. I had to start the entire segment over from scratch.
Oh, okay. Well, then that should have been fine. At least it's nothing's missed, nothing's gone.
I told you the exact same thing.
But nothing is missing, nothing is gone. That's why we're late. It's because you decided to read the entire thing.
I started over because nothing was saved.
Okay, I just understand where your priorities are.
Of course.
Anyways,
I'm glad you finally understand. My priorities are not you and all your stuff, okay?
So the Random Fandom is not...
Random Fandom will always be one of my priorities when I have the chance to do it on my terms. When you have an episode you want to do, you can do that on your terms. When we have a joint episode, it fluctuates. We do it on shared terms, not forced terms.
I wasn't forcing you. I was trying to get you...
You were trying to coerce me, which
I was
do
not trying to
appreciate.
coerce you. I was trying to get you to stop playing the game.
You were trying to force me, and I was trying to finish a segment. I was trying to finish where I was booted off, and you were being impatient.
Maybe, yes, perhaps I was impatient.
And you're bringing this into the stream for no reason because you want to be petty.
Yes, I will, because we need to discuss this now.
We don't have to discuss it in front of other people who don't.
We need to figure out
contribute.
when we need to do this so that we don't argue. We need
Then
to figure
why
out
don't
what
then why don't we
time for
then why don't we discuss this off air
No.
when we're not being spectated by people?
No, because I feel like they need to know as well because they have schedules. They
have scheduled, but
they-
they have better things to do than just watch two brothers bicker on camera.
I'm not saying that. They also, one could argue that they have better things to do than watch us talk about Spider-Man 3. It seems that
Exactly.
you have better things to do than the Random Fandom.
I have better things to do, yes. You have better things to do.
It makes me question if you should be even a co-host or whatnot.
Should you even be a co-host?
No, I am not a co-host. I'm the host.
I'm not a co-host. I'm also the host.
But regardless, I'm using this as an example that Peter Parker does not learn in his movies, at least in the 3 movies of Spider-Man, is that he does not
have a certain someone who also doesn't learn.
Well, in Spider-Man,
if you know
3,
what I'm talking about,
in Spider-Man 3, he goes through this phase of responsibility.
Start our little stream here with Spider-Man 3, going over the synopsis of the movie. Just to clarify with everyone. We usually have a more professional opening prepared for y'all. Because Ravenwood decided to be petty this evening, we're starting things off a little immature. So
No.
To bring things back up to speed.
Allow me to explain why I had said that.
I had nothing to cut this.
No. Allow me to. No. I just took the scissors because
now I feel like I'm in danger.
Anyways.
See, you see, ladies and gentlemen, he reached for the scissors almost immediately because I feel like my life's in danger now. So if I suddenly get stabbed on camera,
okay.
Hopefully, Ashley, you know what to do. Call the cops. Second, Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Okay. The point I'm getting at is that we pick up Spider-Man from unresolved issues, just like how we have unresolved issues. And Peter Parker decides to, instead of talking things out about the death of Norman Osborn, he
picking things up.
He decides to second movie. He decides to go on a date with MJ, and go see her theater and whatnot. Excuse me. And then when he finally does, it's after the theater and after he notices that Harry is there at the theater after the shows, after the show on Broadway is over. And Harry, instead of taking the time to actually discuss about what had happened between Peter and Norman Osborn, he decided to leave. Now, granted, that was due to the fact that he was still frustrated with Peter Parker. But it doesn't help when you are also there and not for your friend MJ, but you're there to stare and stalk Peter Parker. So already off to a rough start. Already off to a very rough start. Yeah, already up to a rough start in non-resolved tensions between Peter Parker and Harry. And I feel like this movie, or at least this version of the symbiote, a lot of critics say it can compare it to he's addicted to the suit, like it's some sort of drug or something like that. I disagree. If you actually pay attention to the theme of the movie, right? If you actually pay attention to the theme of the movie and everything about it, is that hold on one second. Oh yeah, okay. It comes off as a way for Peter Parker to not escape, but it ways to grow upon the emotions that Peter Parker is experiencing in the movie. If anything, it's not like a drug. Some people would, I guess, in some cases, it could be like a drug. It is not like a drug. If anything, it allows Peter to mentally cope with the emotions that he's having during this time. The same thing with Spider-Man 2 is that in Spider-Man 1, 2, both in Spider-Man 1 and 2, and 3, it's about the emotions of Peter Parker and the stuff that he's going through, the struggles that he's going through in these films, the emotional toll of Peter Parker. And I don't think it has anything to do with like, oh, stay off drugs, kids, haha, right? No. Anyways, meanwhile, or later on, they're up in a tree, they're in between two trees and in a spider web, and they're counting the stars or pointing out the stars and see Halley's Comet pass by. Or not Halley's Comet, maybe just a comet pass by. And while they're talking about their lives and whatnot, a stray fireball from the sky lands, and it turns out to be little symbiote, little thing, and the symbiote crawls out and attaches to Parker's moped. Meanwhile, would you like to continue from here, Dominic?
I was waiting for it to get started.
I was talking about the synopsis. That
was not a synopsis.
No. I wasn't done with the synopsis. I was just getting one part of the synopsis done. I decided to chop it up and let you take on the ride of the synopsis.
Right. Well,
so let's split up the synopsis.
Let me show you how it's done, okay? Because you just kind of jumped off the diving board into the deep end and you didn't really present anything.
No, I presented.
This is why you don't do.
No, I presented the beginning of the movie, and now I want you to.
This is how. This is how you introduce the beginning of a movie. So, the story of Spider-Man 3. Our movie opens up with Peter Parker still going through a bit of a rough spot with his day-to-day life as Peter Parker and his life as Spider-Man. At first, he opens up with a monologue talking about how things are going good. Everybody seems to like him, but not Peter Parker. They like Spider-Man. That's what the movie opens up with, how Peter Parker is talking about how he feels that everyone likes him. But from what we as an audience can see, it's more so talking about the fact that everyone likes Spider-Man and not so much Peter Parker. But you can perceive that however you will. With that being said, as Peter Parker is monologuing throughout the opening here, as Ravenwood mentioned earlier, the movie continues from this little monologue opening to that of Peter watching one of Mary Jane's performances. She's at this time, she's a small-time actress trying to make it big, just trying to land a role in general. She's a singer.
Don't like her.
Well, we'll get there. So he's there to watch her performance at this nighttime gala of sorts. But he doesn't realize that Harry Osborn is also there watching the performance, but he's biding his time. He's there mostly to watch MJ, as they were friends still. But Peter finally notices Harry after the event is over, and after a quick congratulations to Mary Jane, he goes over to confront Harry because he wants to talk to his friend again. But Harry's having none of it, so he leaves. He leaves Peter Parker just hanging, basically. Oh, careful.
So I just want to straighten it up.
And as Harry Osborn is driven away, Parker is left to sort through the emotional aftermath of everything, where it is later revealed that critics don't seem to like Mary Jane's performances because she has too soft a voice and that they can't hear her beyond the first row. Parker tries to convince her that things will get better, but he keeps trying to compare her lifestyle to his lifestyle,
And being a
saying that
hotshot.
he understands what it's like when people are out there cheering him on as Spider-Man, the stress of having to live up to those expectations. I understand what he's trying to do there, trying to compare his experience to hers and everything. I'm still off frame.
You're fine. It's a bit unbalanced for some reason. It's not.
However, this doesn't quite land with Mary J. She still appreciates the advice, but more and more she begins to feel alone and left out, especially as New York continued to celebrate Spider-Man more and more, and she's left out of the spotlight as she's criticized more and more.
Which in the comic, which by the way, I read the first issue, the very first issue of Spider-Man, where in the comic, the Amazing Fantasy number 15, which means there were 14 other issues before this one, that weren't about Spider-Man. But anyways, in number 15, it dealt with, it showed us that, oh yeah, I fixed that, but then there was a weird internet connection while I was waiting for you to arrive. Anyways, where guess who had the spotlight on television and everything? Not MJ. Then again, MJ was not introduced at this time. No, Peter Parker. The reason why Uncle Ben was killed was not because he allowed. Well, yes, it was.
We'll get
Hold on. Let me. Hold on. No, I'm talking about the comic version. Right. We'll get to Spider-Man 3. But anyways, the difference is that it wasn't because he wanted to avenge himself because a robber. They're not because of the guy who was in charge of the money at the wrestling ring or whatever it was called. Right. It wasn't because of the fact that he got upstage or anything like that. It was because he was actually blinded by stardom, which because of him being blinded by stardom, he didn't stop the thief because simply that it was just not his job. His job was to be the Amazing Spider-Man. So, but in the movie with Sam Raimi, he felt betrayed, and that he needed to avenge himself for being
ripped off,
basically. So yes, that is kind of more relatable, but the comic in its own self is to teach a lesson about stardom. And so with Spider-Man 3, the movie kind of goes back, it kind of rolls back and shows us the problem with Peter Parker and that how he is under the spotlight of stardom and what it can do to the mind of being everyone's idol.
Well, speaking of which, going back to the movie synopsis, as things, Parker continues to support MJ. We cut to a scene where something falls from the stars, what appears to be a small little meteorite coming out of the sky. Burns up in the atmosphere, but a small chunk manages to hit the Earth's surface, and from there we are introduced to none other than Venom, the black symbiote that has somehow managed to crawl its way into everyone's hearts as of recent years. Though it didn't all start there, Venom, his popularity goes as far back as the early comics, the early shows like The Amazing Spider-Man.
Black Suit was already a popular thing. Venom, however, was slowly just starting to be a thing when Sam Raimi was producing Spider-Man 3. And he failed to do his research because Sony was trying to push the new thing onto Sam Raimi. And so he did not like that. And so he rushed out a product that was the Venom that what we saw. And so, unfortunately, no, we didn't get a black suit Spider-Man movie where it was just him in the black suit, right? So he didn't give Venom enough time to cook. So that is something that I feel like if we were to live in an alternate history, the movie would have been just about Spider-Man in this new suit.
We'll probably get
where Spider-Man 4 would have
that
been
in the form of Tom Holland. Okay.
Hopefully,
dream.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a more comic accurate movie so that
with Venom and black suit Spider-Man.
So that people who don't read the comics and people who just watch the movies and whatnot
can enjoy it for themselves.
Not just enjoy it, but be reintroduced, or not reintroduced, be introduced, and for comic book fans, reintroduced to the concept, and it'd be a refreshing take. And I hope Tom Holland, since I have heard that he does watch Spider-Man stuff and whatnot, Spider-Man videos and whatnot.
I doubt he'll ever watch our stream.
I doubt it too, but I'm hoping that to push that message out there.
Yeah, get the word out and whatnot.
I'm hoping that that is something that we see, is that to subvert a lot of the TV shows and a lot of the cartoon shows and whatnot, continue to do the same thing that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man did.
You keep using that word. I do not believe it means what you think it means. Subvert. Subvert
the expectations of fans. They would expect the symbiote to control more of his emotions and more of his mind, not his mind, but his thoughts, and act more like a drug or something that's venomous and toxic, and something that's like a parasite. Or, they were close to giving
bring out more of those toxic emotions.
Yeah, they were close to Venom being his own character in the Venom movies, but however, they did not separate the idea of it being a parasite or something.
Well, I mean, it needs to be more. Symbiotes have always been parasitical.
Well, no, it does not need to be parasitical. It wasn't a parasite. It just kind of latched on and stayed.
Well, Venom has always hated being called a parasite.
Well,
he expresses that throughout the Venom movie. But symbiotes, they do latch on similar to parasites. They are parasitical in nature, but they are not true parasites. Not in the sense most people would think. But regardless of the more you know segment with Raven here, we are introduced to everyone's black gooey friend, Venom. And he hitches a ride on Peter Parker's scooter. It's technically a scooter, buddy, not a moped.
No, it's a moped.
I'm pretty sure it was a scooter, but hey ho. You can look it up if you want.
Yep, I'm already doing that.
It hitches a ride while Peter tried to take Mary Jane Watson home. And after the fiasco there at the beginning of the film, we cut to where Peter Parker is thinking about taking the next step in his life and proposing to Mary Jane Watson. Although there's a small part in the movie where he takes some time to talk to his Aunt May about it. We get some more history of how Aunt May
Okay.
met Uncle Ben, how
It's-
they got married.
The moped is called three different things. It's called the Pizza Time moped. It is called Peter Parker's motorbike or motorcycle, right? And it's
A
also
motorbike.
called a scooter.
Okay, so we're both right.
So yeah, I'm more so right than anything I should say.
You're not really.
No, anyways, it's although yeah, it says moped and yeah, it's a Pooch Moxie Newport. Let's call that then the Newport.
Newport. All right. Well, we can.
I
we
still
can
feel
leave
like I'm
it at that.
sinking.
You probably are because it's rocking back and forth.
No, I know that.
Anyways, well, you're sliding back a bit because
It's-
you're trying to sit on the edge of the seat. Anyways, after learning a bit more about how Aunt May and Uncle Ben got married, Aunt May, married. How they
that's
got
right.
married.
That's right. Okay.
Aunt May decides to give Peter Parker the ring she received from Uncle Ben because she doesn't need it anymore, and she feels like since Parker is so sure he's ready, she can let him use her ring. And after a bit of hesitation, Parker decides to accept the ring. He's prepared to give it to Mary Jane, and he's ready to take the next step in his life. Or so he thought. It is. We cut to the next part of the film where, as Parker is basically on his way to prepare things in advance for when he takes the next step with Mary Jane, he gets ambushed by Harry with the new goblin tech that he made. Basically, he made some upgrades to his father's work. And he even gave himself, well, this wasn't included in the final product, but it was a deleted scene, at least in the behind the scenes edits, that Harry Osborn gave himself an updated version of Norman Osborn's goblin serum. That's how he had such enhanced reflexes. It wasn't just because of the armor. It was because he also had the goblin serum flowing through his veins, but his was more updated and enhanced so that he still remained in control without losing himself over to the same chemical influence that Norman succumbed to. If that makes sense.
But the movie later decides to kill off Harry.
We'll get to that later. But Harry Osborn comes seeking revenge for his father's demise. Because if you haven't watched the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film, Norman died. Taco Bell sound effect insert. Ding. But he doesn't understand that Peter technically wasn't the one responsible for it. Norman just accidentally ran himself over with his own glider. But hey, son's going to be irrational, so he tries to battle Peter Parker to the death. And in the last second effort to get Harry off his back, Parker lays out a spider wire trap, and Harry just flies face first into the wire in the most hilariously sounding sound effect Raven's ever heard in his life. It's basically just a and then he falls off his glider after hitting the web, hits his head on a drainage pipe, hits his back on some concrete bar. Thank God he had some armor. City-style trash can,
big
green dumpsters. Falls on one of those and then rolls off into the street, landing in a puddle Future Go On style, except he's face up instead of face down in the puddle. But he's laying face up, just motionless in the street. Well, not the street, but in an alleyway, because Parker took the fight to an alley. Well, anyways, Harry stops moving. So Peter realizes, oh dear, might need to take him to a hospital. So, after a failed attempt at CPR, which you never should attempt unless you read a manual or something or have experience doing CPR, because, doing something inexperienced can cause more harm than good if you're not prepared. So always be prepared to make sure you do your research before you try to attempt what you see in the movies, most of which you probably shouldn't attempt at all. Just saying.
Well,
but anyways, after a failed attempt at CPR, Peter Parker hauls ass and carries Harry Osborn to the hospital, where the doctors work to resuscitate Harry before he flatlines. And surprisingly, to no one's amazement, they managed to save him. So everyone, Peter, Aunt May, and Mary Jane all go to the hospital after the very next day to go check on Harry. And lo and behold, all those bumps and bangs on the head have knocked some screws loose in Harry's head because he has amnesia conveniently. I mean, if you were to hit your head on a drainage pipe, I guess you'd forget too.
Concussion.
Yeah,
We're friends. We are friends.
Yeah. After suffering one too many concussive blows to the head, Harry has amnesia. He's forgotten everything that happened between him and Peter, between the first and second movies. All he remembers is that he's best friends with Parker and, good
I've
friends
got
with
nothing else but Peter Parker.
Mary Jane as well.
Oh,
he
Mary
knows that he's still childhood friends with Peter Parker, so he's still treating him like they're brothers, kind of like they did in the first film before all the fallout happened. So, with that being said, after making sure that Harry is all right and that he's on medical leave, Parker prepares to pop the big question on Mary Jane. But there's a bit of a hiccup, see? You see, before he can get to the point where he can pop the big question to MJ, there's a small event happening in which the city wants to give Spider-Man the key to the city. An award for all his heroic deeds.
It's the tiny key here. This very tiny key.
And once Harry's out of the hospital, he decides to accompany Peter and MJ to this event. Little does he know, because he forgot. Peter is Spider-Man, so he's not immediately there with MJ. So it turns out Harry and MJ are just there in the crowd by themselves. MJ does a quick little cover for Parker because she doesn't want to remind Harry of what happened. So she tried to play it dumb and tell Harry that Parker's probably running around taking photos of the entire event, which Harry somehow, he buys.
Which let's not also forget that there's lack of communication here between MJ and Peter Parker about who knows who Spider-Man is and all the life of Spider-Man. Like again, there's despite the fact that she now knows who Spider-Man is, then that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and that Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
It's
right?
probably one of the reasons why
she-
nowadays a lot of people have issues with the Tobey Maguire the Tobey Maguire trilogy, is because unlike with Andrew Garfield's two Spider-Man movies and Tom Holland's movie, there's lack of communication between Peter Parker that Tobey Maguire plays and the Peter Parker that Andrew Garfield plays and the one that Tom Holland plays.
Unless
because
it's more so.
both of them actually communicate with their cherished ones. Although Andrew Garfield didn't quite net the landing with Harry in the same way.
Oh, wait. I just remember something. They have a conversation about how it was not his fault about Harry, about Norman Osborn's death. No,
that happened at the beginning. He tried to explain that to him, but
to explain to MJ that like you're not gonna blame, it's like you're not blaming me, are you? It's like no, that's not it, right? I remember that. No, that
happens as a result of figuring out that the real killer of Uncle Ben is still out there, and what he told her about the man he confronted in the first film. We'll get there.
Well, anyways.
To continue. During this event, we are introduced to none other than Gwen Stacy, which I feel was just a character that didn't really contribute a whole lot to this film. I honestly don't know why she was even here. She was just here just to serve as something to make MJ even more jealous. I don't really know.
She was there.
Regardless, there's a whole incident at the event in which the crowd encourages Gwen Stacy to give Spider-Man a big old kiss. And there's only one kid in the audience who tried to go, "Don't do it, Spider-Man. The plot compels me to tell you not to do it." Well, Peter gets swept up in the momentum of the moment and encourages Gwen to go ahead. And in the exact same way he kissed Mary Jane in the first movie, Gwen Stacy plants a kiss on Spider-Man in the exact same way Mary Jane did at the beginning of the first film when he debuted as Spider-Man. Which kind of makes MJ very unhappy, to say the least. So she ends up storming off, leaving Harry confused as to why she's upset. And then, now the event happens in which Parker is getting ready to set things up for the big question. He's made reservations at a fancy restaurant where he comes face to face with none other than the infamous bellhop from the second film, who told him before entering the theater just to point to the door and go, quiet, like no seating after the doors are shut.
I don't think it's the same guy.
It's the same guy, it's the same actor.
I know I first pointed it out, but
it is the same guy.
I feel like it's not the same guy. Not that I'm thinking about it.
But if you look at him, it is the same guy.
I'm gonna Google this.
That's the guy. Only now he's speaking French. I'm telling you, the same guy from the second film who was being a jerk, being a doorhop kind of guy. But now he's here, as a server kind of person, discussing the reservation Parker made in advance, speaking in a French accent. Parker makes plans to pop the big question to MJ over a nice fancy supper. And once MJ arrives, Parker is prepared to, he's prepared to get things all situated so that he can have this big moment with her. Then Gwen Stacy arrives at the exact same restaurant with her family. She walks over to Parker.
Parker, where's your bird?
To catch up because she recognizes him like familiar face. Ooh, I'm gonna go talk to that guy. Introduces herself to MJ like, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker's lab assistant." Like he talks about you all the time. But MJ gets a bit conflicted because Parker's never talked about her before, which again proposes that this film has a lot. All three Tobey Maguire films had a lot of lack of communication skills, which is on the characters really, and on the people who directed this film for not letting the character talk. Just talk it out, and I swear things will be fine. Anyways. But MJ's jealousy comes out after Gwen Stacy leaves.
Darren is a bit slow in here.
Yeah. Well, it's always been slow. People know that. Parker tries to salvage the situation, explaining to Mary Jane that Gwen Stacy is no one to him, just a girl he works with in science class. But then Mary Jane brings up the event in which Peter Parker, who had been caught up in the stardom, shared the exact same kiss Mary Jane gave to Spider-Man in that moment. And she asks Peter, who really kissed Gwen, Peter Parker or Spider-Man? And Parker doesn't answer. He just sits there like an awkward mook.
He should have locked in and said, Spider-Man, clearly.
If it's just one of those situations you just could not win. Even if he did give an answer, she probably wouldn't have accepted anyways. It was just one of those lose-lose situations. Even if he did answer honestly about it, it still would have resulted in her walking out. So Parker's plans to propose to her are ruined. Feeling emotionally unstable as a result of this, he realizes he messed up. And to add even more to the unstable emotional turmoil, the chief of police just brings forth some new evidence to Parker and Aunt May. But before that, we must go to a little bit earlier in the film where we are introduced to none other than, what's his full name?
The internet's acting up. Let's just call him Mr. Sandman.
Flint Marko.
Flint Marko.
Flint Marko, the Sandman. We are introduced to this character who, honestly, I think he was just here in this movie to serve as kind of like eye candy, like cameo.
Initially it was just going to be him and Mr. Sandman.
All right, so Venom was the
was extra.
Yeah. But
not the eye candy.
Eye candy. I mean, as like the cameo, the thing that would draw people. Like, ooh, Venom. That's the new character. Let's go see him.
What I understand what was supposed to be is that Venom worked in the sense of the fact that it worked with his overall Sam Raimi's overall narrative about the emotions of Spider-Man, and as long as he played it off similar to how Spider-Man was handling his powers in Spider-Man 2, right? It would work. And yes, technically, it worked. And for me as a kid who knew nothing about Spider-Man and knew nothing about Venom at the time, I didn't read any of the comics except for one comic book There was one comic book I ever read, and it was the very first comic book that I ever read, and that was the first one. It was a comic book that was based. It was not the first one. It was the comic book that was based off of the movie. And I don't know if they still do this anymore. If they have comic book, if they have movie comics or whatever.
Oh yeah, they have plenty of comics that are still based off of movies.
No. I'm talking about not based off the movie, like where they do the scene by scene, but in a comic formation.
Yeah, they still do that.
I'll have to look it up if it's or not.
But we are introduced to Flint Lockwood. I'm just kidding. The soundtrack for Spider-Man 3 is also pretty cool. That's where all the memes come from.
Speaking of which,
Flint Marko. We're introduced to him, and the reason why he's acting as a criminal is because
he is a criminal.
he's acting as a criminal.
You mean
right
he's
why he's doing these criminal actions?
What his career's criminal activities?
Yes.
You
know what I mean. Anyway, I'm pretty sure they know what I mean, unless they need me to be more specific.
I'll be more specific for you. Do you want me to start now?
No, because I know you're going to do a piss poor job.
Okay.
But anyways, we get a glimpse of Flint Marko's inner life and why he's doing what he's doing, robbing and breaking into banks. It's all because he's trying to get money to help cure his sick daughter, whose name just so happened to be Penny Marko.
Penny Marko.
However, as he's running from the police, because he's a wanted man, so he's running from the police who are chasing after him like that one cop in Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs going after Flint Lockwood. Flint Lockwood! If a cop were to chase after me like that, I'm just like, well, I'm cooked. I'm not even gonna bother running. Just take me in, officer. I'm not gonna.
I don't know. All I think I'll jump over that fence.
Well, no, I'm saying if I see a cop running at me full sprint like that, I'm just like, nope. I'm getting on my hands and knees. Just take me to prison. But anyways, he's running from the cops and he jumps over a fence, which the camera then pans out to a highly restricted area because they're doing
touch grass.
They're doing some sort of nuclear test of some kind or particle acceleration.
We were accelerating the sand.
But Flint Marko ignores all the signs saying don't touch the grass and hops on over the fence in order to get away from the cops. But as he's running, he falls over the edge and into what appears to be a massive particle accelerator of some sort full of sand. And as he's struggling to get out, the scientists who are operating in that area decide to turn on the accelerator. And as it's accelerating, basically all the sand gets mixed into Flint Marko's DNA, and he becomes the Sandman.
So yeah, he
or at least that's how this version of Sandman came to be.
Decided like, oh yes, finally the body horror. I can do that again.
Yep.
Whereas the Spider-Man 2 was not so much as body horror, but more so of like, let's just have a
horror.
Robot horror, death.
But love, death, and robots. If you know, you know. Go watch it on Netflix.
You're me.
But yeah, after Peter and Aunt May find out that the wrong guy got, Parker is furious because he realizes he messed up, and he didn't get the right guy who murdered Ben Parker, his uncle's killer is still at large.
And he becomes
And
large.
as he's pacing back and forth, listening to all the reports on the police radio he's somehow acquired, MJ finally comes to pay, him a visit because she still feels feelings from him, even though they had their big fight previously. She's still willing to show that she cares about Peter, and she's telling him that she doesn't want him to go making the same mistake he did when he handled the first guy he thought was Ben Parker's killer. Which Parker goes on to snap at her like, that was a mistake. He pulled the gun on me. I just moved and he fell out the window. But all this, what can only be described as all this bullshit, basically, is starting to pile up. One bad thing after another.
Now the Spider-Man bad luck is both MJ and Peter Parker are facing the Spider-Man bad luck charm, basically.
And so Sandman decides to make a move in order to, get some money for his daughter's treatment. Spider-Man tried to stop him, fails the first vibe pass. Mission failed. We'll get him next time. But as he's thinking back on everything in the very next scene after he fails to apprehend the Sandman the first time, he starts having these nightmares, dreams about how he imagined Ben Parker, his Uncle Ben, died to Flint Marko. And as he's thinking about all these negative thoughts, with the added stress which had already built up on him, it seems to call the symbiote forward. Because the symbiote would somehow manage to climb its way into Peter Parker's apartment off screen, because we never see it. We never see it climb off the scooter and into the apartment. That all happened off screen.
Well, that's fair. It's mysterious.
But it somehow managed to get into his apartment during the night, and it was climbing into Parker's bed. And there's a silhouette on the wall that shapes a hand, almost like something's reaching out to him. And then the very next instant, when Peter's eyes open up,
we hear that sound effect for the very first time. I think it was the very first time we hear this.
Very first time we hear it. And we're introduced to Black Suit Spider-Man, where he's just somehow mystically, magically outside, perched on the side of a building.
It's for a brief second.
Not exactly sure how he got there. Last we saw him, he was on his bed. So we already know this symbiote can move Parker around whenever it wants to.
Well,
kind of a red flag, but the fact Parker didn't pick up on that in the first place.
That is very like Peter Parker to do, because like when he was first bit by a radioactive spider, instead of telling everybody, he's like, well, I'm gonna keep this to myself. Yeah. But I do want to point out though, again with the body horror, it's not much, but for brief moments, right? Mm-hmm. Now, throughout the time, the venom is like moving around, like to, I guess, an untrained eye, right when I was younger, it just seemed like a bunch of spider webs just sticking out, like
there are moments where you can see.
Let me finish. It's just sticking out, and like it's just whipping, and like it just looks like it's just like a ball of goo and whatnot. But it looks like when you watch it again after, well, and now that I'm much older, and when I can actually look at certain details that look different, looks like a bunch of tiny like, so like when I'm younger, it looks like a weird goo with spider webs, right, or spider webs sticking out, whatever. But now when you actually look at it, it looks like tiny hands are crawling
These
up.
fucking hands.
Well, it looks like tiny little like hands like crawling,
like black goo
and then
with fingers
as
just
it
crawling all over your skin.
and what's horrifying about the scene, both as an adult and as a kid, is that as a kid it looked like spider webs, right, in a sense, a lot like kind of just sticking to his face. But then when I'm much older, right, it could be that maybe they changed the movie over the years or something, I don't know, it looked like hands was like, right, covering his mouth.
Because someone took some inspiration from the Alien franchise.
Anyways, the tiny hands or the tiny webs or whatever you would start to cover his mouth and everything, and like grab onto his face and into his eyelids and whatnot. It's like, so like for brief moments you get like this body horror that's kind of not the same
not to the same degree as
like, oh, my atoms are changing.
Not to the same degree at the original horror movie, The Thing.
No, that's not what I was going to point out.
No,
not to the same.
That's a good example of a body horror thing.
But no, I meant the body horror in the sense of like how in the first movie where like his very like skin was like the hairs on his skin was like changing, and we could see the blood, and we could see the blood like changing as well, and all that. Yeah. That's why I'm talking about like the weird body horror thing stuff that's happening to him. And in Sandman, his body horror is like where his like actual, like the back of his skull is dissolving into sand. That's what I'm referring to. It's dissolving into sand. And so now with Venom, it's like it's just small details, right? And it just looks like their hands, right, grabbing onto him. And like at first it looked like spider webs, like it was creating small little spider webs. Or maybe it's a mixture of both. Like maybe the creative idea was that is spider web. I know. Hold on, let me finish. Or maybe it's a mixture of both. There's like small spider webs that look like hands. Or something like that. And so you can probably mix it up a bit. I guess due to the interpretations of the scene, I guess. Anyways, now moving on. Words he gets gripped, and it mimics his suit.
It mimics his original Spider-Man suit, but it is now the black suit Spider-Man, and. As a result of this, Parker starts to feel different. Somehow he feels stronger, he feels more nimble on his feet, he feels like his spider senses are more alert. It's because this symbiote is somehow, this version of the symbiote is somehow enhancing every aspect of Peter, both his abilities and his emotions, I guess, somehow making him a bit unstable as a person.
Although I will say Brand New Day did this better, where it showed that, and he felt like he was actually changing. And
Except without the Venom symbiote.
Yeah.
Because there was no Venom in that movie.
Well, there wasn't, but like it was Man Spider, which is very similar to how it should feel, versus where I hope that they explore something different.
I mean, technically,
if they ever do a Venom suit, I hope they explore something different for Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
I mean, technically, it wasn't Man Spider. It was just Peter Parker's arachnid genes going haywire as a result of his changes because he was undergoing some sort of stress metamorphosis due to the fact that he was having less and less interactions with people and putting Spider-Man ahead of his life as Peter Parker.
But you get what I mean when I say
it's kind of like a Man-Spider situation.
Anyways.
But anyways, we are introduced to Black Suit Spider-Man. He feels stronger, lighter, faster, more agile, light on his feet. His senses are far more attuned. He feels more aggressive, though, and
Sleeker too.
sleeker, I guess. He
Well, he doesn't feel sleeker. He has a
also
more sleeker look to
he
him.
also has a bit of a new hairstyle. And then we also get that one scene that became forever a meme that made people hate Peter Parker throughout for the rest of Spider-Man 3. The whole dance thing in the street where he's just going da 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 da, made everybody just
Cringe.
But
we're forgetting something
before we
about
get
the Daily Bugle.
well, hold on a second. I was getting to that. I just wanted to jump a bit. But before that, as Parker, he's introduced to this new black suit. He even goes on to say, "This is something else." What else? Right. Harry is starting to grow closer to MJ because she feels lost, and that Parker isn't really there for her in the moment, so she starts looking to Harry. Meanwhile, Parker goes to Dr. Connor, who unfortunately does not become the reptile or the lizard in this universe. I'm sorry. I almost messed up. He doesn't become the lizard in this universe. I'm sorry.
Yes,
but he takes a small sample to Dr. Connor for study, and Dr. Connor is worried about what he's analyzing, saying he should not let any of that touch Parker, because it seems to have traits similar with the symbiote, or a symbiotic parasite. And once it gets attached, it's difficult to break free of it. So taking his advice to heart, at first, Peter Parker does put the black suit away, just putting it in the chest for safekeeping. Just like, never gonna touch it. Nope. But then stuff happens at his workplace. The new guy is on the block, Eddie Brock, and he appears to be wanting to take Parker's job of taking pictures of Spider-Man for J. Jonah Jameson. But J. Jonah Jameson's right-hand man seems to give Parker the benefit of the doubt and goes, "He's right, Jonah. No, he goes, "He's right, Jonah. Parker's been here."
No, I'm saying his name is Robbie.
Robbie. Parker's been here longer. He's an excellent photographer. So J. Jonah Jameson decides, all right, whoever can bring me pictures of Spider-Man with his hand in the cookie jar first gets the position.
I'll be right back. You finished this one.
Yeah. So the games begin between Parker and Eddie Brock, as both are trying to take pictures of Spider-Man with his hands in a cookie jar. Except Parker doesn't want to do that because, he's Spider-Man. He doesn't want to make himself look like the bad guy. So he's not entirely focused on that at the moment, especially once it's revealed that they've tracked down Flint Marko, aka the Sandman. So, tempted by the power of the black suit, Peter decided to wear it once more in order to go and confront the Sandman. Where he struggled before, this time Black Suit Spider-Man is pretty much able to dog walk the Sandman, just overwhelm him. Now, to Sandman's credit, he did put up a good fight against the black suit Spider-Man. He did put up a good fight. Unfortunately, the overwhelming power of the symbiote giving Parker a boost in his abilities was too much for the Sandman, and eventually Parker managed to unplug a drain of some kind of pipe. He broke a pipe off, sent water flushing the entire sewer they were battling in, and sent Flint Marco. Well, basically, he flushed him away.
Speaking
I
of
guess
flushing,
you could say the Sandman was he was basically drained,
well, I do want to
flushed down the drain. Yeah,
I do want to apologize for leaving. There was something in my eye. I had to also flush that out.
no worries. Yeah. Anyways, so after dealing with Sandman, Parker begins to feel more and more addicted to the black suit.
Well, I won't say he's addicted or anything.
He begins to feel more and more addicted to the power and the confidence he gains while wearing the black suit.
Yeah.
What the symbiote is providing him.
Yes.
And he starts to act more and more like a playboy, like a
Tony Stark almost.
He starts to act almost like what I'd imagine Flash Thompson in this universe would act like if he had a more prominent role in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. You remember Flash Thompson?
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay,
that was
weird. Where was I? Oh, right. So after defeating this, he's beginning to grow more and more addicted to the black suit and the power that is being provided to him and the confidence he's gaining from just wearing the symbiote in general. So he starts to wear it with him no matter what, despite all the multiple warnings he gets from Dr. Connor saying, please tell me you don't have more of this lying around. It appeared to amplify aggression. Please tell me you're not wearing any of this or like you don't have any more. No, Dr. Connor, I don't.
Okay.
Good grief. All right.
Give a second. Wait a second.
But Eddie Brock has managed to put a few clever tricks, and he somehow managed to win the competition between himself and Parker by photoshopping. He basically took images of surrounding areas and then photoshopped some of Parker's previous photos and worked them into his images, but with the black suit. He just color paletted the original suit. Parker confronts him about this and then tells Robbie to check his sources. And they find out that, yep, Eddie Brock made some fakes, which J. Jonah Jameson is not happy about because he's never had to do a full full apology, a retraction of a newspaper in 20 years.
Yep.
And so they end up having to apologize to Spider-Man publicly, which J. Jonah Jameson is not happy about. And Eddie Brock is thrown out to the wolves. He's fired. Finished. I want Brock prosecuted. But anyways. Well, with that said, Parker now manages to get some images of himself, the black suit, as he continues to do more and more with the black suit spider outfit.
Yes.
And with his confidence and power soaring like never before, basically skyrocketing, he manages to secure himself a new position and a better pay rate. However, everything is not
and
exactly...
a new girlfriend.
Yeah,
Sort of.
Not quite. Everything is not all sunshine and rainbows just yet.
Just rainbows and sunshine.
For you'll see, behind the scenes, Harry Osborn begins to remember, and finally, after a conversation with whoever I'm convinced is Mephisto, just toying with him in the form of his father in a mirror. I'm convinced it's Mephisto. He just basically tells Harry to do what must be done. Attack his heart. So, Harry Osborn...
But none of that, notice in the third movie, none of that mirror trick where you see Norman Osborn's ghost or whatever haunting Harry.
Well, no,
this was
that was there.
No, his physical form.
Yeah, sort of.
No. In the second movie, they did that. In the third movie,
He was in a mirror. He was.
No, he was not in the mirror.
Yes, he was. Do you really? Do we have to rewatch it again?
No, continue the synopsis.
All right.
I'll prove you wrong. You're wrong.
You're not going to prove me wrong. You're going to prove yourself wrong. Anyways, so Harry Osborn somehow managed to get his memories back, and he basically confronts Mary Jane and says to her, if you want Parker to live, you will dump him. Basically, he's trying to break Parker's heart. It's not enough to simply make him pay for his father's death. He wants to ruin Peter Parker. So first, he attacks the love of his life, and so
of the death of Venom, where we get to see what's his name,
Eddie Brock's
skeleton, just like how the board gets killed off in Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. MJ decided to go through with it like a twitch, and she dumps Peter, leaving Peter flabbergasted on a bridge in the middle of New York City.
But not after some sweet omelets first. The omelet scene.
Well, I already talked about that. That was when she was reconnecting with Harry. You made me lose my train of thought.
Right. On the bridge.
Yeah, he's basically left speechless on a bridge, and he goes back to his apartment and shambles. But Aunt May is waiting for him because she is honestly the best character in all these movies. She's there to provide support for her nephew, and he gives her the ring back, explaining that he wasn't ready, and it appeared that MJ just wasn't ready either. But then, for the second stage of Harry Osborn's plan, Harry invites Peter to coffee at a cafe and proceeds to tell Peter that he's the other man that MJ is in love with, which Peter can't help but feel betrayed about.
Okay, so what happened was there was a scene, but apparently the one that we saw in the movie, right? We just watched the movie, right?
Yeah.
So
It was in the mirror, right?
There was two. Okay, what happened was in the second film there was a mirror scene, right, where he's talking to the mirror, the version of Norman Osborn, and right, and so he talks also to himself. And in this scene,
I'm just committed.
it's a
to
bunch of
this.
flashbacks, right? But we only saw the flashbacks and heard his voice. That what we saw here was a different version of the scene from YouTube that I just now watched. It was a completely different scene from the one from the version of the movie that we watched, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. So
might be a deleted scene of some kind, or a bonus,
or maybe that they altered the scene for
maybe. It's kind of like the director's cut version of Lord of the Rings, where they add the part.
I'll look at the deleted scenes. Maybe it's just me.
Saruman the White gets stabbed and then falls onto the spinning water wheel and then gets crushed under the water wheel. For those of you in the know, if you've watched Lord of the Rings, the direct cut where that one guy stabs Saruman the White and he falls from the tower. If you know, you know. If you're just a casual goer and you have no idea what I'm talking about, go see the director's cut, the one that wasn't censored. But Harry Osborn's next stage of his plan reveals to Peter that he's the other guy in Mary Jane's life, which devastates Peter to the point where he feels betrayed. Right, wasn't I? He is in a mirror.
No, okay. Yeah, you were right.
Aha.
But no, okay, so this deleted scene is actually much horrifying. Death of Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
The death of Eddie Brock is that he was already dead in the. What happened was that Eddie Brock was over by the time the fight was finally happened. Eddie Brock was already down to a skeleton.
So Parker pulled out a skeleton from Venom.
Yeah, he already pulled out a skeleton from
so
Venom.
That was check out the deleted scenes of Spider-Man.
It was much darker, where basically where Venom had already
consumed Eddie Brock.
And there was
Peter Parker. Peter Parker was a much more suitable host for Venom. That's why Venom liked Peter Parker. And it was Venom was basically in both the Tobey Maguire movies and the original comics. Venom could only be described as a toxic partner.
What's actually also interesting is they kept the prop in the background of the same scene.
Yeah, I noticed that. To continue.
Sorry.
Continue. Feeling hurt, feeling betrayed, Parker puts back on the black Spider-Man suit and decide to go fight Harry over basically all this. Where it is then revealed that Harry remembers everything, and now he's going to try and just goes, ooh, and a lot more snarky. But Harry fights Peter, and they have this big old confrontation in which it ends with the goblin grenade going off in Harry's face.
Now, what was interesting about Norman Osborn's scene in Spider-Man 3, I do want to mention, is that he
Okay,
was
but
wearing.
Next time, please make sure you say excuse
Sorry,
me
excuse
before
me.
you just blurt
Sorry,
out stuff.
excuse me. But what's interesting about Norman Osborn is that he's not wearing his bathrobe in that scene. He's wearing, I think he was wearing the sweater outfit that.
I thought he was wearing the plaid.
No, I just watched the scene. No, he was wearing some sort of like sweater outfit that when Harry found Norman dead, he was wearing Harry's old clothes, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of interesting that the ghost of Norman Osborn would do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I feel like it's loosely saying that, like, yeah, it's Mephisto, but without Mephisto without actually saying
confirming it.
Yeah, without actually confirming that it's Mephisto tricking
Mephisto.
Yes.
Anyways, it basically all blows up in Harry's face trying to take down a black suit Spider-Man, or Peter wearing the black suit underneath his new clothes, because he's basically the Emperor's New Groove himself. But yeah, that entire fight, it blew up in his face, quite literally. Thankfully, somehow, due to the enhancements he gave to himself, Harry managed to survive a grenade going off point blank in his face, though not without some serious scarring.
I think it would have been cooler had they made the movie to where Harry Osborn puts on the symbiote suit at one point in the movie instead of
that doesn't happen till later when he gets the anti-venom symbiote, but that happens in a much later continuity, much different series. Anyways, where was I going with this? Right, it all blew up in Harry's face. Parker leaves, and because he's still hurt from Mary Jane dumping him, he starts to go out with Gwen Stacy. But the symbiote is twisting Parker more and more to where he's starting to act more impulsively. And so after making a big fool of himself in the middle of a diner, just to try and impress both Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane, he's left he leaves the diner realizing, because after he broke Gwen's heart because he did a whole song and dance just for Mary Jane, and then he accidentally physically hurt Mary Jane, the grunts. Yeah, he realizes he's not liking these changes anymore. So, swinging his way up to a church, he tries to rip off the suit.
Which is funny, this is sometime after he's just getting a religion to it.
Yeah, he told that he brought to get religion. Funny, because coincidentally, at the same time, Peter Parker is trying to rip off
religion.
Trying to get religion for forgiveness. He's asking God to kill someone.
I want you to kill Peter Parker.
Please, God, kill Peter Parker. Not
Ted?
Please forgive me for my mistakes, for I have sinned. I will try to be a better person. No! You try to ask God to kill someone.
I mean,
he is not some mercenary you can just have to smite people.
God, all right, don't deal. There was like a divine bullet.
I just couldn't tell,
but
I just couldn't help but face palm at this.
Technically speaking,
they're trying to teach viewers nowadays that you can just walk into a church and ask God to kill someone. That's not how it works.
That's the whole point. But technically speaking,
I feel like this is something the Catholics would try to get away with.
And technically speaking, God did kill Peter Parker, just metaphorically speaking. Because if you think about it, the Peter Parker that needed to learn his lesson,
or the Peter Parker that was getting influenced by the Venom symbiote,
yeah,
was ripped away from him
yeah,
after he hit the church bell and the symbiote shrieked and finally detached itself from Parker. But feeling betrayed that Parker let him go, the symbiote, which we would all come to know later as Venom, but it doesn't introduce itself as Venom in the film. It doesn't talk or anything like that. It just shrieks the entire time and lets Eddie do the talking for it. But it does change to a more violent, jealous host and attaches itself to Eddie Brock.
a fraud, a copycat, if you will.
Yeah. So
get out of my building.
Eddie Brock then proceeds to, upon acquiring the powers of Grayskull, I have
Stop.
the power. Okay, He-Man reference. I'm sorry. After acquiring the symbiote for himself,
a photoshopped version of Spider-Man.
Flint Marco team up to figure out a way to defeat Spider-Man.
You want to kill the Spider-Man. I want to kill the Spider-Man. Maybe
we should both team up to kill the Spider-Man.
No.
Sandman's just like,
well,
okay.
I feel like that technically would be out of.
Okay.
I feel like that technically speaking, that would have been out of character of Flint.
Because he clearly.
Because he's presumed dead at this point.
Well, multiple times he said that he never wanted to hurt anyone. And then the one time Flint is offered revenge, instead of walking away, he takes it. I guess he was pissed with Spider-Man for beating him up and not allowing him to get the money he needs for his girl's treatment.
I guess that's true. I guess
he was just pissed off and angry and hurt and desperate and like, if Spider-Man out of the picture, I can get the money.
Sometimes it is about the money.
Well, you need money to pay for treatment.
It's not about the money, Spider-Man. It's about the treatments. Let's go. Let's get some for my daughter.
But yeah, Venom, Eddie Brock managed to persuade Flint Marco to join his side, and so after a string of events happen in which he kidnaps Mary Jane, that being Eddie Brock, he kidnaps Mary Jane, then strings up a whole thing, orchestrating it to say, if you want to stop us, come fight us, while trapping Mary Jane in a web. Parker is left to fight them with his normal Spider-Man suit. He knows he's nowhere near as strong as the Venom symbiote physically, not symbiote, because he's dang it, we're so close. All right, here we go. We seem to be good. He knows he's no match for the Sandman and Venom by himself. So he approaches Harry saying, Harry, look, I need your help. But Harry's like, nah, dude, you burned half my face off. You basically turned me into the Marvel's version of Two-Face. You don't deserve my help. Get out of here. Parker tries one more time to convince him, like, Mary Jane needs us both. But Harry's just nah, get out. So Parker's left to try and stop Sandman and Venom by himself. But good old Butler Marco, not Marco, what's his name? The butler?
He's still alive.
Probably not. But hey, if he is, good on him.
No, he's dead. He's dead.
Damn.
19. Well, he was alive since he was born 1920. So he's yeah.
Well, good
and
old
he died in 2011.
Good old Butler Bernard finally tells Harry the truth that
I love
nearly cost his life because he literally took a grenade to the face for this, dude. If you had just told him earlier, but Butler Bernard finally revealed the truth to Harry that Parker wasn't actually the one who killed Norman Osborn. After all, he had killed himself with his own glider. Parker was innocent after all. Well, this conversation could have happened like one whole movie ago. The lack of communication between these characters is frustrating. But hearing this, Harry realizes that he shouldn't have let his hatred get in the way of his brotherhood with Peter. He was blinded by grief, by rage, that he realized he was letting it come in between the friends and family he still had left. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is getting jumped in front of New York City. Like, literally everyone is watching him as he's out there screaming, "Help me!"
This isn't about Spider-Man's getting jumped.
He's getting jumped by Venom and the Sandman. Venom's literally got him in a chokehold, and Sandman's just like, bah, 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 smashing him like how we would,
John
like
Henry.
no, like how we would actually smash a spider in real life.
Pause.
No, like you get your finger, you bop a spider.
Okay, yeah, sure. Anyways, continue.
Okay, how humans would normally exterminate a spider in real life? Bop. Jeez, why is everything so sexual?
I didn't say anything sexual.
But you implied it.
I didn't imply anything sexual.
Yes, you did. We have it on record.
Anyways,
But yeah, Spider-Man's getting jumped. His main focus is on Mary Jane, trying to save her, but Bro needs to lock in. He's getting double teamed by Venom and the Sandman. I walked into that one, I'll admit. He's getting
sand everywhere, I'll tell you.
Why are you like this? All right, well, Venom and Sandman are basically sliming Spider-Man.
Oh, slime.
Well, yeah, the black webs are basically slimy. That cannot feel good against your. That can't feel good against your neck. It's kind of like a black goo, more so.
Okay.
But like he's got him in a headlock. Like he's Venom has literally shot double webs around Spider-Man's neck, restrained him, like basically got him like bent over, and oh, yes, I'm just gonna run with these innuendos. Got him bent over
On his back too.
got him bent over on his back, like he's stuck, like at the mercy of the Sandman, who just wails while Venom is watching while restraining Spider-Man, keeping him tied down. It looks like all hope is lost for the poor Spider-Man. He just getting two-pieced. But out of nowhere, someone decides to join in on this three-way battle and make it a foursome. Oh gosh, all right, I need to stop. You're making that face. I know I need to stop. Uh, Harry joins in the fray to even the odds. He helps Parker in his battle against Venom and the Sandman. They manage to drive the Sandman off after Harry uses his goblin tech to defeat Flint Marco and basically make him crumble to glass. Just cause him to just crumble to sand. But he's not defeated. He's defeated but not destroyed.
Yes.
Meanwhile, it all comes down to the two of them versus the symbiote. But the symbiote he's just too strong, and Parker can't do anything to beat him physically. However, Harry, swoops in at the last second to try and get the upper hand on him with his technology, but the symbiote's ultra. You know what? Technically, it might not have been Venom. It was just described as a symbiote. I mean, yes, it's implied that this is Venom, but for all we know, this could have just been another black symbiote.
Anyways,
they never said it was Venom.
This is good.
Yeah. You never know. But this symbiote, manages to bat Harry off his glider. But Harry, not one to be taken down so easily, because he's just stubborn like that. He jumps in the way of Venom attempting to impale Parker. He just basically takes the penetration instead to get penetrated by the blades. All right, we're good. Connection stabilized. But he gets stabbed by his own glider because Venom, or the symbiote piloted by Eddie Brock, stabs. You were attempted to stab Peter, but Harry threw himself in the way to shield his friend, which is funny because earlier in the movie, when he was recovering from his amnesia, he literally told the doctor he would die for his best friends. Well, true to his word, he threw himself in the way of a blade, got two-timed, and upon being thrown away, Parker, enraged, managed to summon a Zenkai boost of sorts, broke free of Venom's webbing, and began to, after recalling that Venom's weakness is sound, begins in what Raven described earlier at the most motion impressive choreographed scene, begins stabbing all these pipes into the ground surrounding the symbiote and begin whacking on all these pipes to produce a metallic sound that hurts the symbiote. And to finish the symbiote off, he gets a goblin grenade from the glider, throws it at the symbiote after yoinking Eddie out of it. But Eddie, is an idiot and tried to save the symbiote. But the grenade takes them both out, so they're both dead. And sadly, Harry did not survive the double penetration. The blades were too strong. Um, I'm sorry. I'll stop.
And here I was gonna start.
No.
You said my entire essay.
Harry, unfortunately, the wounds were too great, and he dies.
And then
But
before that,
yes, technically before that, Spider-Man does manage to finally reconcile with the Sandman, who explains what actually happened when he confronted Ben Parker that night. He was actually just trying to get the car. Ben tried to tell Flint Marko to just go home and, stop this.
Go home and rethink your life.
Flint didn't realize, he only just now realized that Ben was trying to help him, but when his partner came up behind him and, patted him on the shoulder, that startled him, and he accidentally pulled the trigger, which took Ben's life. He still felt sorry about it, so he apologized to Peter, and in the end, there's reconciliation between the two characters, and so Sandman, realizing he needs to find another way to help save his daughter, decide to drift off into the wind in search of something better to do.
Now there was another deleted scene.
Peter goes to Harry's side alongside MJ, where they both, are with their best friend in his last and final moments. And then the scene transitions to Harry's funeral, where the movie concludes with Parker saying another monologue about how he is the Spider-Man and he will always be there to, save New York City. He will always be there for his friends as well as Peter Parker. And with that, Spider-Man 3 comes to a close. Ultimately, kind of sucks, really, but what was your deleted scene?
Okay, so I already told you that the first deleted scene was that there was where the Venom, which at the end of the movie, by the way, it becomes this like monster like goo that we all see, and obviously
see that.
It's obviously inspired by the Thing.
Yeah.
No, not the Thing from the Fantastic Four, but
the
thing
original Thing from the
movie
from the 1846 movie?
No. I think it was just 18.
1946 movie?
Yeah, I don't think they had movies in the 18.
No, I think they did.
No, movies were just it was just in the 19th century, not in the 18th century. No.
18th century.
Not 18th century.
1800s.
1800s. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
They were not.
I'll take.
It was
your
like
word
in the
for it.
19.
I'll take your word for it.
Regardless,
you're more of a history buff than I am.
Well, anyways, sorry.
With the deleted scene you were talking about.
There was this. Okay, so that was obviously inspired by the Thing, right? Yeah. And the
original Thing.
That's great. I like that
new version that came out later.
But the other deleted scene, the more popular deleted scene, I guess. Maybe I don't know which one's more popular: the skeleton scene or the sandcastle scene. There was a scene where. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was this sandcastle scene where, where she just gets better. She's better.
She's slowly getting better.
No, at the end of the movie, she's. It turns out that
Penny Marco has somehow gotten better.
there was a miracle that she gotten better, I think, and she was playing in the sand castle, right?
Sandbox.
In the sandbox, um and the no, not sandbox, playing out on the beach in the sand,
Right.
and the Sandman was pretending to be the sandcastle. At the
Right.
end. It was very
It's
hard
just the
work.
little sandcastle watching over his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But sadly, that scene got deleted.
I don't know why.
Well, I know why. It's because the directors suck.
No, I think it was just there was just something in the scene that didn't get completed or whatever.
Maybe.
Or sometimes that happens. Sometimes like they had no choice but to delete a certain scene, or maybe
They just decide to cut it because they feel it just doesn't fit the rest of the vibe,
not the rest of the vibe. It just didn't.
match the rest of the project.
No, sometimes they just cut it because of like time of the film.
Yeah.
And because of the
Or
fact-
just other reasons, like maybe one of the higher ups didn't like the scene.
no, it's not that. I think
Well, that is a
problem.
reason.
Well, I mean, it could be a reason. There's probably several reasons, but I think the reason is that the main reason is because like there was something. I think there was like it was something that the scene was unfinished or not completely done or whatever. But sometimes that happens. Which I do like. Okay, now what I do like about this movie is that the other two films had like mad scientist becomes villain, right? This one has the second one, mad scientist becomes villain. This one did not have a mad scientist become villain. It had
a desperate father.
it has a
wicked
mad
journalist.
It has a mad. No correction. It had a mad scientist making another villain.
No.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. You have to be mad to not double check the security of your project. If a random bird, what if you got a sandbird instead of Sandman? That would have been much different.
I guess they just didn't care. They just didn't consider the hit rate. They just assumed that the bird would fly off on its own once this generator got started.
Hypothetically, if it was a bird,
that doesn't make you a mad scientist. That just makes you like
a
neglectful
scientist. A mad scientist is also a mad.
No, it's not. Scientist. A mad scientist is usually a scientist.
Norman Osborn was neglectful to accept the fact that he would need to have approval for human testing, right? That's neglectful, therefore mad.
A mad scientist isn't necessarily one who's neglectful. A mad scientist is usually categorized as someone who does inhuman scientific experiments or something the world would consider madness.
Well, Doc was not listening to reasoning.
He was trying to create
he did not
a stabilized sun.
Norman Osborn rushed his project and killed the man, right? Mm-hmm. And then of course Green Goblin, right? Doc Ock ignored both Peter and Harry about nearly
killed all of New York City sucked into a black hole.
That's mad. Both of them became mad scientists. Another mad scientist, but this time instead of him becoming the villain,
that's not a mad scientist. They were just a bunch of idiots who didn't decide to go out and look and see who was out there. They just assumed the extra weight was a bird and assumed it would fly off when they got the particle generator. That's just neglectful. That's just being bad at your job. That doesn't even deserve mad scientist credit.
That is
you need to be good at your job to earn the label.
Mad does not necessarily have to be.
Most mad scientists are actually brilliant minds who just do unholy lab experiments that are considered madness to the rest of the world. No,
And that
this
was
was
mad.
not madness. This was just them testing some field equipment. They were just testing a particle accelerator that they just didn't go out and look to see who had fallen in there.
And they could have
That's just neglect. That's just neglect.
They could have particle accelerated a bird into sand and then make the sand bird. Hypothetically speaking, if they thought it was going to be a bird, right? There's like, oh, well, wait a second. What if we particle accelerated this bird and then thus turning it into a sand bird?
I mean, that doesn't make the Mets.
Neglectful.
That just makes them bad at their job.
I feel like neglectful equals mad.
No, neglectful equals bad. They're bad scientists, not mad.
Scientists
mad is crazy.
Well, it is crazy to neglect something. It's crazy.
You're going to call that entire facility a hodgepodge of mad scientists who just created the Sandman.
We had one concerned scientist and we had one mad scientist. And then we had one guy who just did his job. Okay. Yes,
that's not how it works. That's not
you're
how any of this works.
You're splitting hairs.
Of course, I'm splitting hairs. That's how you differentiate between the bad scientist and the mad scientist.
A mad scientist is also a bad scientist.
No, mad scientists are actually brilliant. Well, they just do a bunch of terrible things.
Regardless, instead of the mad scientist becoming the mad villain, right? It's the bird. That becomes the Sandman. It's Flint.
Flint he gets turned into the villain. A desperate father trying to secure funds for his daughter's treatment.
Harry Osborn isn't a mad
scientist. A corrupt journalist who just wants to kill Peter Parker.
He purposely does the mad stuff.
He just likes being a bad guy.
He enhanced what he said, doubled down on that and somehow perfected it by accident, I guess.
He doubled down on what?
Yeah, he doubled down on the serum, right? And
who doubled down on the serum?
Harry.
No, he didn't double down on the serum. He improved the serum.
Yeah,
he basically took Norman Osborn's serum and enhanced it before taking it himself.
Yeah, but he purposely enhanced it, though. I feel like he
didn't double down.
I feel like he wasn't going to not double down. I feel like he didn't care about the results. He just wanted the revenge. But oddly enough, he got what he wanted. But anyways, now this was sorry to say. This movie was different. There was a mistake, a jealous man, and a vengeful man.
Basically, two villains.
Three villains. Sorry, no, two villains, but three antagonists, two villains.
Yeah.
Well, technically speaking, it's three antagonists, one villain, because one is just doing what one's just doing what he wants to do.
One is just doing what its purpose is to latch onto a host.
Yeah.
It's an alien symbiote.
Oh, rather than no, I'm not talking about the symbiote.
No, I'm saying one of them is just
four antagonists to that. Okay, so the symbiote.
Oh God.
Now think about it. If you think about it, there's actually four antagonists instead of three antagonists. Eddie Brock is technically.
Eddie Brock is an antagonist, the main villain technically.
Well, yeah.
It's irredeemable. Or like this version of Eddie Brock was the one that we see in the later Venom movie. Actually, pretty chill dude. Not as much of a twat as this version of Eddie Brock from the Tobey Maguire series.
And he had the right build too.
Yeah. Man, we got a chunky Venom. She has no idea we are going to get her back. You belong with us, and
No, anyway.
exactly. Pretty hilarious to more symbiotes like Riot and Carnage.
I have not seen the third movie, but
I haven't either,
um,
but it is available on Disney Plus, so we could always watch that after we're done with the Spider-Man movies.
maybe I feel like.
Well, I mean,
not.
technically, Venom is part of the Spider-Man universe. So once we're done with the Peter Parker stuff, we could get into the Eddie Brock stuff.
I want to watch the Blade stuff first because I feel like that's long overdue. There's only been one Blade, but there's been 3 movies of Blade. Anyways, I do want to say, okay, I do want to say that again, the one thing that I hate about this movie was that they killed off Harry Osborn.
Yeah, that was tragic.
Well, I feel like they didn't need to do that, but I feel like because like the trilogy relied on the three individuals,
the
Harry,
three amigos.
Harry, Peter, and
MJ.
It relied
on
the 3 amigos.
You killed one of those plot lines. You incompetent.
I don't know.
Tosses him out the window.
Sam Raimi was going to make a 4th movie.
Didn't quite get that far. Instead, we got the Andrew Garfield timeline.
Yeah, he quit because Sony kept pressuring him to add more stuff that he didn't either A, he didn't know about, or B, from what I remember, it's been a long time since I read the article, but there was a multitude of problems happening in that film. Sony wanted to push more villains, or just more stuff onto Sam Raimi.
It is based.
They wanted to cram so much stuff into the 4th movie, and we could have had Tobey Maguire into the MCU a long time ago, actually.
But that didn't happen until Tom Holland became the new main Spider-Man.
And if think about it, technically speaking, Andrew Garfield could have been the MCU Spider-Man.
But they gave up on him after the end of the second film.
The second movie was rough.
They just decided to hang up things there. We didn't get answers to who Dr. Connor was in contact with, the Shadow Man from the first film. We didn't get any answers on that. We didn't get any closure in the second film.
They really wanted
They just wanted to kill Gwen off.
No,
but we didn't get any closure for Harry Osborn either.
Yeah. Also, we also didn't get any. Well, Sony really wanted, and they still do to this day, a Sinister Six movie. And it was also funny is that they even tried to make all these villain movies, Spider-Man villain movies like Kraven the Hunter. The problem is when you turn them into protagonists instead of antagonists in their own films, right? It doesn't add up. It don't make sense. You don't.
All of a sudden, we've just got.
And I think it's going to be a very long time before we get those characters onto the big screen again.
Yep.
Especially like Kraven the Hunter, who's like a very big deal in the Marvel universe, or sort of. He's sort of a big deal. But when you turn him into a protagonist, when you turn all these antagonists, these villain characters into protagonists like characters or whatever, it's just me.
Meh.
They
Unfortunately,
we're running out of
we
time.
are
We're
running
technically
out of
ran out
time.
of time a long time ago,
We really should have wrapped
but
things up, but you wanted to chomp at the bit a bit.
yeah, but like I said earlier at the beginning of this video, uh, a lot with Toby Maguire's Peter Parker and MJ, that they both have the same character arc, or not saying the character arc, they're both going to have having their own character arcs at the same time, happening at the same time, where it's a lot of people hated MJ, but I actually always liked MJ, and I think the issues with MJ isn't with MJ. It's actually because of Peter Parker, and so like
Well,
I don't think she was the problem in the relationship. They were both the problems if you think about it. Like
yeah, I mean
the,
it's a two-way street. I'm not gonna disagree with you there. I just feel like a lot of these situations
would have been avoided without the
could have
lag.
been avoided had Peter just come out and talked to the damn girl, and two, had the girl not damn well let him by the nose every time, and then proceed to go date some other guy,
Well,
making him feel like he no longer had a shot.
Well, to be fair, she dated the guys only in 2 films. She didn't date any other guy in the 3rd film. There was
I'm
only-
aware of that.
Yeah, and that was actually something that a lot of people have hammered home in their minds. Like, oh, she ended up dating Harry. No, that was actually just a girl.
That was just him setting up Spider-Man in a trap.
Well, there's not just that. No, it's actually just a girl who was down on her luck and needed a friend to lean on, and so Harry was just there.
That wasn't a date. That was just
That
her
was something
being
that-
overly friendly with her friend.
Yeah, that was just their part. That was just Harry, but also
Whether
Harry,
or not there was any tension in the air, I mean, they did kiss technically,
but that doesn't count.
she immediately did walk away when she realized what she was doing was wrong.
Yeah.
She's still a thought.
No, she's not. Anyways,
I mean, the record speaks for itself. Just because she wasn't a thought in the last film doesn't mean you
She
can
was not.
excuse her behavior in the last
no,
two.
that's she. No,
In the first
she
two.
is actually pretty. No, she has every right.
I'm just kidding.
No.
All right. Well, I'm just going to say this. Spider-Man 3. I believe there was potential there, but it felt like it wasn't as good as the second movie. Would you say it's anywhere near as good as the first film? Or would it be number 3 on the list?
It's just just has its own ground. I guess that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's a bad film. I don't think it's
not the best.
I don't think it's the best film.
But I don't think it's as bad as everyone said it.
Yeah, I feel like it's overrated.
Yeah. When we were preparing to rewatch this movie, I had to psych myself up in order to watch it because I was expecting this to be as bad as everyone said, because it's been a while since I watched it the first time as a kid. I only remembered like the Sandman and Venom. You know, I remembered some cool action scenes, but I felt like this movie might have just been cool action scenes and nothing more.
The new Goblin suit, I feel like he looked better on the side of the cereal. I remember specifically, he looked better on the side of the Honey Nut Cheerio box, and that's what I what had actually sold me to watch this film. was the fact that like, oh, who's the new Goblin? Who? Yeah, I was wondering at the time, like, it should have been obvious that it should, for some reason it like, it was still a question like, is it Harry? He's like, who's the new Goblin?
We were younger.
Yeah, like despite all the signs, every sign in the second movie pointing to Harry Osborn being the new Goblin. Okay. But anyways, I think we quickly figured it out during the time. But like, I liked the outfit from the side of the cereal box, but not what was in the final result of the movie. Maybe it might have been the same, but I don't know. I can't remember.
Stop rocking. Your voice is kind of fluctuating.
I can't remember, but regardless, the whole point is that I feel like that's I feel like the outfit a little bit better for the new Goblin.
Maybe. I mean, he obviously can't replicate the same suit as the Green Goblin, the trademark. But I mean,
well, not trademark.
We could have gotten a much better orange Goblin suit, but oh well.
Well, we see 3 masks on the table.
Yeah.
3 different type of masks.
I guess he just didn't like any of them because they looked villainous. And Harry doesn't want to be a villain. He just wants to take down Spider-Man for, killing his father. But then he learned the truth, which honestly could have been told to him as early as the second film. Like, seriously, this all could have been avoided had Bernard just spoken up sooner. Or Parker even spoken up sooner.
And when he finally had the chance to talk and communicate,
it was already too late by then. Harry already had this
in his mind.
In his mind, he was already dead set on who the murderer was.
But to be fair, he had during that very moment, when he was finally ready to actually talk to him about the death of his father.
Minute 206. We can't keep rambling like this.
Well, you took a very long time synopsising. But
anyways, you kept interrupting the synopsis.
Well, anyways, the moment Harry Osborn had a chance to finally talk to Peter about it, in the moment with Peter Parker had a chance to talk to him about it, Harry drifted away. He turned away from Peter. Now, granted, on the same time, I kind of blame Peter for this because he decided to come and talk to him at the end of a Broadway show while watching his girlfriend sing. So yeah, that's like, it's kind of, the friendship here is kind of not as solid as it used to be.
It just, the whole trilogy with Tobey Maguire and it's Spider-Man with horrible communication skills. It just non-existent.
Oh, we'll get to Tom Holland's Spider-Man's Peter Parker's problems.
Well, we'll get to that as soon as possible. But in the meantime, real quick, why don't we go ahead and talk about our least favorite scenes from that film? What was your least favorite?
Actually, I feel like it's getting late. We should probably cut it here. Mm-hmm. I've already said what was my least favorite scene anyways, was Harry Osborn being killed. They have a habit of
doing that, killing Doc, killing Norman Osborn, killing Doc Ock,
killing Harry. It's not. Yeah, killing at least one antagonist in the film.
Antagonistic character. Well, in Spider-Man 3, they killed They killed 3 antagonistic characters. Harry. So 3 antagonistic characters.
You saw that internet connection show? Okay, anyways, we gotta end it here.
We're going to call it here since Raven's quit. So that has been our take on Spider-Man.
You mentioned the time earlier, so
that has been, well, it is at 209.
Yeah. Anyways.
That has been our take on Spider-Man 3. Um, in all hindsight, I think this film doesn't deserve all the hate it has garnered over the years. I actually think it's better than people have led us to believe in later years. It's still nowhere near as good as I thought it was when I was a child. Like, as a child seeing this movie, I thought this was cool. But growing up now, having seen cooler movies, having seen worse movies, movies in between, um, I can safely say Spider Man 3, not as good as I remember it growing up, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be now at present day.
And was it was the characters comic book accurate? No. I don't think
Not,
any. I don't think any of the Sam Raimi.
not even the
characters.
symbiote was comic book accurate. Uh, they didn't even make it say anything like "we" or "venom." Anyways, they didn't even give it. It just shrieked most of the time. It just like. And then the rest of it was just Eddie talking out his mouth like hot air. That's all coming out of him is like a helium gas. All I could think was just shut up.
Well, anyways. But
For
it's-
that, Spider-Man 3, I'd say it's worth at least watching it one time in your entire life. Like, at least go give the movie one watch. One watch, and maybe never watch it again after that.
Speaking of,
But at least once. At least once. But until then, everybody, I'll get it. I don't appreciate you reaching across.
oh
me
well,
like that.
sorry, it's just
It's just weird. It looks weird at this angle.
there. We go.
Until then, everyone, if you have enjoyed this stream, make sure you hit the like button because it lets us know that you enjoyed this type of content, and it inspires and it motivates us to continue doing more of what we like to do on this channel. That talk about movies we've seen and talk more about the different types of content you would like for us to discuss later on. Also, if you leave a like, we will continue on our Spider-Man crusade. Make sure
Well,
we're going to regardless, but the
We're
likes,
going to
the likes would really help.
motivate us. Yes.
Yeah, it would help motivate us. But so would your subscription. If you subscribe to our channel, not only would you be helping support us and motivate us to produce more content like this, because we know that people are, entertained by what we do, it gives us the incentive, the motivation to do more of what we love. And speaking of more of what we love
to sleep.
we do love to sleep, but some more content that's on the way, guys. In about 6 to 10 business days, I'll be able to present y'all with the new Chaos Origins Yu-Gi-Oh box that I'll be able to open on stream for all of you. So I hope you'll tune in when that comes in, and we'll be able to see what all we can pull from that. But tomorrow, or technically later today, I will be starting Resident Evil 3 again. Oh, it's been so long. But yeah,
Maybe we'll. I have
hopefully,
to run. I have to do a few things myself on my end. But I want to do one more Marvel Rivals stream before we do any of his streams.
Hopefully I'll be able to continue the Resident Evil 3 stream. But in the meantime, in addition to hitting the subscribe button, after that, make sure you hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications so you won't miss a beat here on the Random Fandom with myself, the Dominic Rex, and Ravenwood here. And when you hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications, you won't miss a beat. So until next time, everyone, cheers, much love as always. Tip of the hat, everyone. Make sure you tip your hat.
Yeah, tip of
the hat to y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.